Welcome to the Business Bada Revolution. I'm your host, Pat Honiotes. We're here to talk about doing business from the inside out because being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. Remember, business badasses are made, not born. Welcome to the show. Hey there, hi there. I'm Pat Honiotes, and welcome to the very first podcast of Business Bada Revolution. Like you said, I'm Pat Honiotes, and I'm here to let you know that being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. That's the whole thing. So many people get so frustrated with it. And part of the thing, too, is they're told not to do things that will relieve their frustration. We're taught to never, ever bring our business into our personal life or our personal life into our business. The whole idea behind this particular podcast is to tell you it's already there. So let's learn about it. Let's take advantage of it and use it to our advantage. You see, here's the thing. We can't separate without turning things down, without turning things off. That's not what this podcast is all about. We're just going to let some things rip. So this session's going to be a little bit different, which you might expect based on the whole idea behind what we're doing here. My coach is going to actually be interviewing me on this podcast, this session. And I've questioned myself more than once about what in the world did I do? Love a duck. I am in so much trouble, right? Here's the thing. When I work with people about bringing themselves into their business and bringing it in on purpose to use to their advantage, we have to take some deep dives. We have to be vulnerable. We have to be willing to go to those places that we don't necessarily want to go. If I'm going to be doing this, and I guess I am, all right, if I talk, that's one of my big values. And I know how slippery I can be. There's things that I don't necessarily want to look at either. And there's things that I don't necessarily want to talk about. But I'm also very clear that those are the exact things that I needed to go through to be able to do this podcast and to bring the information to you. There's, it's not about a polished, perfect monologue or things very scripted. And, I even tried it. I actually spent some time developing all that, and it just felt so phony, so fake, so not fun at all. So here's what's going to happen. My coach, Jeffrey, knows exactly which buttons to push, which questions to ask. He can also point out my blind spots to me, but to you as well, so that you can begin to hopefully maybe see some of your own. The whole thing today is to just be real. Share the real story behind becoming a business badass. Not only how I got there, but to give you some insight on how you can get there too. It's, I'm uncomfortable right now. I flat out tell you that. I am making myself really vulnerable. You know what? That's not quite the truth. I'm making myself vulnerable, but I also have people around me right now that I trust implicitly. So that cuts down on the nervousness just a little bit. This is exactly the kind of conversation I want to have with you and guests going forward. Real, down to earth. So you know what? Let's go. Get ready. Put your pants on, wiggle around, get comfortable, and let's start this whole thing by doing things from the inside out. Let's dive in, Jeffrey.
Let's do it, Pat. I'm ready to go.
I don't know. You got me worried with the rubbing of the hands there.
We got places to go, things to do.
Oh, Lord, love a jack. Okay.
So I want to start here, Pat. So just some background. So we've been working together for about a decade, right?
More than that now, yes.
And there's two stories I want to dive into right from the get-go.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Because I think they speak to a third story too. I think they speak to what this is all about, who you are, and more than that, it speaks to why you're providing this for them, what you're doing this for, why the hell should anybody tune into this thing, be a part of this journey? What will they get from it? So here's where I want to start. When we first met, you bought something from me, right? And it came with a bonus session, I think.
It
right?
did. 20 minutes. Yes.
Yeah. And we got on Zoom, and you try to take yourself out from the get-go, because you said, I know I'm not your standard client. I know I'm not like those fancy people you sometimes work with, right? Blah, blah, blah. And I think it was near the end, you shared a challenge with me that floored me and made me chuckle all at the same time. Do you want to share what that was?
Oh, you're talking about my journey over to Scottsdale to a meeting, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, fairly new to the area, and knew that I had to get out and go to networking. Hate networking, which a lot of my clients do initially too. But I put on my big girl panties. I got into my car. I drove 20 minutes across town, parked my car, walked up to the networking room, put my hand on the handle of the door, go of the door, turned around, walked back to my car, and drove home.
So I'll never forget you sharing that, because I could picture you walking up, putting your hand on the handle, and having something happen, right? The fear, the nervousness, the whatever struck you that made you just let go of the handle, not even walk in the door,
Yep.
turn your butt around, get back in the car, and drive back across Phoenix.
Yes.
And you shared that, and I chuckled.
You did. That's happened frequently since then.
And here's why. Because I was like, oh, we can handle that. We can turn that around. Right? Because to me, there was some perceived threat in that room that your body couldn't deal with. And I knew that whatever perceived threat you thought was in that room wasn't actually there. It was some remnant of something from your past, placed inside of that room by your mind.
Yep.
And then experienced by your body. Here's what I love. And here's one of the things that just made me go, oh, effing love this lady. Can we swear on this show? Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah, what the hell?
We're just cutting loose, remember? Whatever
loose.
comes out, comes out.
So I was like, I fucking love this lady. She's a hoot. And I said, yeah, we could work together if you want to do some work together. And I think I quoted you 10 grand for a package of work. And I didn't know anything about your financial background. This was after 2008 crash, and it wiped you out, right? I didn't know any of this. And you just took a big gulp and you said, I don't know how, but I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah, I had $4,000 to my name at that point in time. Rent was due, car payment was due. I had a habit of eating then. And so it was like, I don't know, but here we go.
Yeah. And here's what I love about you. When you put your mind to something, when you really commit to something, you go for it. It's done.
I agree.
And you said, I'm in. I'm doing it. I don't know how. I don't know where the money's going to come from, but I'm doing it. And damn it, you did. And I'm not saying that about me. I'm saying that about you, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it just brings to my mind, Jeffrey, that's one of the, when I make up my mind to do something, I do it. But it's also what I bring to my people. When I make up my mind to work with them, I am there.
Yeah.
And they pick up on that, so they get that they can do it too.
Yeah, for sure.
It just happens. Well,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't just happen, but we work our butts off and it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you worked your butt off, and I worked your butt off.
No kidding.
But here's what I love. You wanted something, And what I see I've met a number of your clients over the years now, right? And what I
Yes,
know about all of them is they want something,
you got it.
right? They might not even be able to put their fingers on it, wrap their hands around it, name what it is, but there's something deep down that they want, that they've not been able to find, not been able to get, and all their push and struggle in their business isn't getting that for them, right?
Right.
And sometimes maybe is digging them deeper. And here's the deal, and this is what I've seen you do with your clients, is you went for it, you committed, you went all in, and I pushed you. And we went to some places you were not so happy to go. But here's the result, because this is a business badass revolution, right? So
Yep.
here's where I see one of your revolutions around being a business badass. I didn't know it when you hired me, but you'd only made 20 grand that year, and it was July.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
I don't even know how to keep going when that happens, but we dove in. Not only did you do the inner work that unlocked the fear, the hesitation, the trepidation, but you did the outer work. We built a kick-ass program, and you went out there and started selling it. A few months after we started working together, if I remember right, you were a speaker at the meeting you couldn't walk into.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then that year you ended with an extra, what, 100 and...
My taxes that year that I paid it was 126 grand.
And so you added 106 grand between July and December.
Right.
Right? So to me, the whole work around being a business badass, and the reason I wanted to start with this story is that it was where it's where I started with you in this journey around you doing the work that allows someone to be a business badass. And it's the relationship between the inner work and the outer success, right?
Yes.
We added, especially the trajectory you were on, to move from 20 grand in the first half of the year to 106 in the second half of the year. That's a big turnaround, right? To move from I can't walk in the door to I'm leading the meeting. That's a big turnaround. And here's something I know you went to, something you had to wrestle with a bit. And I know that when people show up in your world, not that they would like to admit it or talk about it or let anybody know about it, but there's probably something they have to address that they've been skirting around for some time.
Absolutely. Every single time.
Yeah.
And the thing is it's a lot of times it's not that they don't want to admit it, Jeffrey. It's that they don't even know what it is.
Uh-huh.
I can't tell you how many, I don't know what it is, but I know there's something there. I know there's something there.
Here's what I want to share with your guests that's just coming to me as you're saying that. One of the things that I know about humans, and I know you know this too, is we have a very fine-tuned personal preservation system in us, right? And part of that is we won't let ourselves see something if we don't have the avenue to address it.
Exactly.
Right? If we don't have the tools or the support to address something, it doesn't make any sense for our system to let us see it and go, here's what you're really dealing with, and you're fucked because you have no way to deal with it. Right? So what's wild is even when we don't know what it is, we think, oh, how can this person help me? Right? How would I even know what to ask for if I don't know what the hell this thing is?
It's going to depend upon your person, okay? I've been doing this a long time, Jeffrey, and I just know what to listen for. I know the questions to ask. I know what to listen for. It's a matter of being, for me, and the way I operate, being very familiar with how the subconscious mind works. Yeah. Because that's where the key is many, many times. And yes, I know how to get there, but that's only half the battle. Okay, I may know that this person has pneumonia, and that's not going to do him any good if we don't treat it. So it's also about knowing how to work with the subconscious mind to reframe and to become friends and be very aware of what's going on around your habits, your patterns, because it does impact your business every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can tell you, not being able to walk in that networking meeting, yeah, that impacted my business big time.
Right. Yeah. And one of the things I've shared with you for years, like you need an audience. You do you do best in front of people. I do as well. We both in our own way.
Hey.
Yeah. And so there are certain people where I don't care how much social media marketing you do, how much email marketing you do, etc. Some people are really designed to be in front of other humans. And that's where the joy is, and that's where the money is. Right. And that's absolutely true for you.
And that's what I was avoiding like crazy. That's what I avoid. There's still times that I do. So yeah. you tied into that initially right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I want to just give you I want to do a little brag for a moment because people are getting to know you here. And you talk about the subconscious mind, but you're trained in medical hypnosis. You were the president of something, national, I don't know, association of something. What was that?
All right. I'm board certified in medical hypnoanalysis, and I was trained with doctors and PhDs in the American Academy of Medical Hypnoanalysis. Okay. So when you couple that then with my degrees in counseling psych, it was the dynamic duo. Yeah.
And then I'll add your husband was a big old doctor, and you helped run that business, run the clinic, right? And so you had a lot of that hands-on nitty gritty, how to run a small business.
Yes.
Right. For years. So you have the business side, the clinical psych side, the hypno analysis side, and it all comes together for this business from the inside out approach to success.
Right.
Right. I remember when we started, one of the things that was part of your subconscious mind was this old tape, this old narrative about being stupid. And you had a son of a bitch stepfather who told you were a stupid, no good, whatever girl who knew nothing, right? And would hit you if his temper flared. And so there's a very physical response to, and here's what I just intuitively know about you. You're sassy. You're quick. You're quick-witted, right? Nothing slides with you, right? You catch it all. And I just have this imagination that you are probably a lot quicker than this guy was. And I think it probably threatened him, and he would take it out with anger and violence.
Yeah, the word sassy came up a bit around that age. And that, I get it. I was.
Yeah. Now, it's one thing to have a sassy kid and know how to nurture them and love them. It's another thing to be threatened by them and hit them. And here's the reason I wanted to share that is here it was decades later, and that was the thing impacting your business.
Yes. Yeah, because I wouldn't hire people to help me because I didn't want them to know I didn't know how to do stuff.
So well, you also wouldn't walk into the networking event because you didn't want to be exposed and have people see that you might be stupid.
Exactly.
Even though, and this is important, even though the more adult part of you absolutely knew you weren't stupid.
Right.
Right. Right. And that's the funny thing about the subconscious mind. You can have certain parts of you that believe one thing, and the more adult parts of you believe a different thing. And yet if the subconscious mind, those younger parts are still running those old tapes, that's going to be part of running the show, right?
It's always running. It's the old subliminal stuff they used to have in the grocery stores and the pharmacies, buy this or buy that.
Right.
That's what it's like, that belief you have about yourself subconsciously is always running in the background. It just depends upon how high the volume is at any given time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Part of what we did is have you befriend the part of you that felt stupid. Right. And I'll never forget you. I think you texted me, and which was not a common thing then. Right. You just said, but I have to share it. You said, I'm visiting my daughter and I didn't know how to do something on my iPhone. And I would never normally ask my daughter for help because she'd say, Mom, you're stupid. But I asked her. And you know what? She did say, Mom, you're stupid. But she helped me. And the thing is, it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, being in a different relationship with that voice is what allowed you to free yourself up, to show up, to lead, to invite people into your work, to lead the networking event you couldn't walk into. And I know that's a huge part of the work you do with people.
Absolutely.
Is find these, it's like the linchpin that once it gets released, the energy flows and people can go do the thing that they've been avoiding or stop doing the old pattern that's sabotaging them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's awesome. Is there anything else you want to say about how that works when you're working with your clients?
Well, first of all, they have to be aware of it. I mean, you can't fix something that you're not aware of. I'm not going to, fix the leak in my roof unless I've got water coming into the house. So, and I may try all sorts of things. So it's really getting to the nitty gritty. What's really going on? Okay. Because that's the other thing, Jeffrey. The people that I work with, dang, they're sharp. They're some of the smartest people I know. And so and when they don't know something, it starts bothering them and it just turns into a vicious circle. So that's the number one thing. And the other thing is being willing to go deep. And I'm not telling you should do that with everybody and do it all the time, but having the courage, having the ability to say, okay, I'm going for it. And then here's the thing. I get it. I'm really good at all that deep work. I just am. I think it's probably a gift. I get it. I can go there and come back with no problem. Some people are afraid if I start digging into all this stuff, what if I get lost in it? What if I can't get out of it? And by the way, I don't see what this has to do with my business anyway. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It strikes me, my father-in-law is in the hospital right now. The other day, his mouth started swelling up and his tongue was swelling up, and I took him to ER. They can't figure out what it was, right? So they gave him some antibiotics and this and that, and it's kind of slowly working. But to your point, diagnosis, what's really going on? Because until we really know what's going on, the ability to address it effectively and turn around quickly ain't there, right?
No.
For
Plus
you,
no, go ahead.
That stupid thing was the big linchpin for you at that time, right? It was the thing that, once we diagnosed that, boom, things turned around quickly. And, here's what I love about that old wound, because it's very easy to like hate those parts of us and hate the stories we tell ourselves and whatnot, but they have secret gifts too. One of the secret gifts of your stupid wound, right, is that you work your tush off to figure everything out.
Oh, and I figure it out more than one way.
I know.
I've got plan A, B, and C. You can ask me that anytime you want, and I can deliver them.
And I think one of the gifts you bring to your clients around that is you're very investigative. There's always these parts of your mind going, oh, is it this? Is it this? Let's look here. Let's look there. Oh, there's a secret door. Let's look behind there. So I know when I've talked with your people, it's like, yeah, we'll get there and she'll turn things around quickly. You just got to be ready.
I actually had a client say to me a couple of weeks ago, you could have warned me. And I said, well, had I known, I would have warned you, but there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to start there because I think that, when you hired me, you've said this to me more than once, that you wanted to find somebody as good or better at this stuff as you to work with. And I think the people that hire you need the same thing. As you said, they're smart, they're fast, but you said earlier, you can be slippery. I know your people, right? If you're fast and you're quick, you can convince most people of your own BS.
Yeah, and here's the they don't intend that. They don't intend to be slippery or to try and get by with something. It's their defense of having been where they are for all those years.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't it's not like they're trying to get by with something
They
or
don't
anything
even
like
see that they're
that.
doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm
when
not
you
always the
can spot
most
it,
popular And I'm not always the most popular person when I tell them about or show that to them either, but that's okay.
you're popular after the results of showing it to them
Oh yeah.
comes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
And it really is fun, Jeffrey. I know that may sound a little strange to some people out there, but it's fun to go after that and get it for them.
Here's my experience because the shoe has been, now all this time the shoe has been on the other foot, where you spot Steph and me, right? And have named it. So just so folks know, I've been Pat's coach, but she's also worked on my team, worked for me. We've worked alongside of each other. So we've had a lot of different forms of our relationship and friendship and coaching and whatnot. And sometimes it feels a little like, oh, you saw that? I don't want you to see that, right? So it feels a little exposing, a little maybe threatening at first, maybe embarrassing. But here's the thing I love about it when you've done that in my life is it's also liberating. Because once you see, right? Like once you really see like, oh shit, that's wow, that's accurate. That's true. The benefit is that then you can finally start to see a way out. Go ahead.
Here's the thing about that too. When you finally see it, you get, how do I want to say this? You get that it's not your fault. You can stop feeling guilty about who you are and what you are, because of course you were this way because this happened. So it's freedom, Jeffrey, but it's also giving yourself permission now to be that. Because there's,
here's what comes to mind is I'd started a podcast a good number of years ago now. And I was fortunate to hire someone to book talent who's a former producer for Oprah. So we had connections, right? And even though this was a baby show that had just gotten off the ground, I had somebody who's very well known on the show. And I was researching ahead of the episode, right? And I remember watching her on with Oprah, watching her with Maria Shriver. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell is she doing on a show with me? And I mentioned this to you. And you said, why do you say that? And I said, well, she's kind of, right? You caught it right away. You caught it immediately. And I said, well, because she's a somebody. And like that, you turned around and said, and what does that make you? Oh, Pat, was I not happy with you?
I'm clear.
And
I slept very well that night, though.
I know you did. I was like, fuck, yeah. If she's the somebody, then I'm the nobody in this situation. And here's what I so appreciated about that moment in time is once I saw that I was making her somebody and me a nobody, I started to see how I did it everywhere in my life.
Yep.
The part that was really gross is when I started to see where the places where I made myself a somebody and other people the nobody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, um, and I saw that for so long in my life, I had been striving to be a somebody, and it kept me on my own hamster wheel.
I enjoy those moments when people finally get it like that. And it's not that I'm trying to hurt anybody. Let me give you another example because I was working with a gentleman not too long ago. And all of a sudden, he just sat down in the chair and I looked at him and I said, "So why don't you want to make any money?" And he just went.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the moment, that was the aha moment.
Yeah. And it's not, I'm sure, and I'm sure he hired you because he wanted to make more money logically and had no idea that subconsciously he didn't want to make money.
And then to add to that, this is one of my favorite people, I have to tell you this. But to add to that, he was stuck at a younger age, like
What do you mean by
15.
that? What do you mean stuck at a
There
younger
are
age?
emotionally, okay, emotionally, subconsciously, you can get stuck at an earlier age. So, like, you'll see some of these grown women still wearing tutus and, this kind of stuff and playing with they're just stuck at a younger
But is
age.
it always visible like that?
No, it is if you know what to look for. So the reason it was visible with this gentleman is because when I was working with him and we were doing that, I felt like I was back in high school teaching my 15-year-olds. Okay. And so I just said, "And you're stuck at age 15. What's with the 15-year-old?" And he got it right away. And that helps because then he can catch himself.
Oh, so somehow something happened at age 15 that said it's not okay or not safe to make money.
Maybe. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We haven't gone that far yet.
All
Okay.
right.
The first
Yeah.
thing is identifying it could be, and it could be two separate issues. It's just, if you just think about it logically, Jeffrey, 15-year-olds don't usually make money. They're out, you know,
Oh, right.
they're
Yeah.
not, yeah, they're not just not there yet. They're not
Yeah.
responsible enough yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to be clear that it's different things for different people.
Yeah.
It can be something like that. It can be the stupid thing. It can be, "Oh, I'm a nobody." It can be,
Yep.
this
Yeah.
just, it's so individual, but it's always so on target.
Yeah. Hey, I want to go in a different direction for a bit because I think it's important, especially in this first episode, to talk about like your why. What's really underneath it for you, right? Because we're talking about the process of the work, and how the internal stuff relates to outer success and money making and business in ways we often can't put together on our own. Um, but I think there's something deeper going on for you than just helping people make more money.
Okay, guys, I told you that he knew which buttons to push, and guess what? He just hit one. Because I can get fired up on this. I absolutely will not stand to have anyone in my presence disregarded, disrespected, displaced, any of that kind of stuff. I will not have it. And there's a big reason why. Here's the thing too, and I'm going to be all over the place for a couple minutes here, and that's okay. Is when you're struggling in your business and you don't know why, that's that's having a that's having an effect on you that makes you feel less than. Okay, and then that can start coming out. So here's the deal. My sister was born severely mentally retarded, and I know that's not the politically correct way to express it these days, but it's the way she was diagnosed, and it's what we lived with for years. Now you have to understand, this was in the early 50s, and they just didn't have stuff for them, and she was made fun of a lot. Don't ever make fun of anybody in front of me. You are asking for some trouble. But that's where it started. She couldn't talk. She couldn't fend for herself. And it started then. I absolutely, the underdog, the people that can't stand up for themselves. And it may be only a moment or two where they can't stand up for themselves. It doesn't have to be a lifetime thing like it was for her. But there's been moments when I've been working with an entrepreneur and they go, Pat, I just don't know what to do. I can't. Okay, here's what you do and here's how you handle it. That doesn't mean that I do that all their time in their business. But at that point in time, they needed somebody to say, please take care of it because I don't have the ability right now.
Yeah.
So, and it went on from there, Jeffrey. I was in grade school. There was a young man that had a hard time reading, and the other kids would make fun of him. And the thing that really pissed me off is the teacher didn't stop it, so I did. Well, now, needless to say, I got in trouble, okay, but that seems to be the story of my life. So it's just that whole thing. When I went into teaching, I, I 1970, and it was the first time the special ed program was in the public school. And so there was a lot of that going on, maybe just even with the teachers. And like, you got to be freaking kidding me. So it's always been that stake in the ground for someone who's being put down, not respected. It just does not fly. I can tell you that it just doesn't fly.
So I know that, like, yes, you will have somebody's go to bat for them if that's happening out in the world. But here's what I see a hell of a lot more when I've witnessed you around other people is, and this is where I think it's a little bit more sneaky and insidious. No, not you being sneaky. I think the lack of dignity and respect being sneaky, which is people throwing themselves under the bus. Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I don't have this. I can't do it. Nobody'd want it. Whatever the stories are, right? Where we don't treat ourselves with dignity and respect, and we throw ourselves, and man, entrepreneurs, we are hard on ourselves.
I'm telling you. And that's when I hold the phone, Murphy. Stop right there. I will stop you mid-sentence because I know that everything, it's feeding that in your subconscious mind, and we're not going to do that.
Well, and here's what I know that when you're feeding it to your subconscious mind, it's immediately going to affect what you do and don't do in your business.
Absolutely. It has to.
So, we might think like, oh, it's fine, but I still push ahead and get it done. No, there's ways you don't, and you don't even see it, but you do.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, we have to. I have to show you. Yeah.
Ah, that's so good. So let's talk about where business badassery comes in. Like, when do people need this inside out approach to really catapult another level of success? Yes. And also probably another level of like having a life they actually enjoy leading, so that the success, is adding to something instead of just, making yourself miserable by making more money.
Right. I can tell you some things to look for. Like I said a little bit earlier, many times it's people that have tried everything else. I can't get this program launched. I've tried this and this. I've been stuck at this income level for 3 years. I can't break the plateau. I've tried this, this, and this. They use the word stuck a lot, okay? Even though they don't want to. What I find, I'm going to tell you 100% of the time, is that they've never been guided or been shown what they think of themselves, how their inner patterns, how their inner habits impact their business. In fact, Jeffrey, they've been told not to address that because they don't want it in the workplace. So I'm not advocating that you walk into your office and cry about the situation with your boyfriend. That's not what we're saying. We're saying knowing yourself and knowing what's going on. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to give you an example. When you can even admit it out loud, it changes everybody. I taught high school, inner city high school, for a few years with all the badass kids. I had all the, and And I kid around with my kids. I'm kind of, if it ain't fun, we ain't doing it. So let's lighten this up. But there would be every once in a while that I just was not in the mood, and I would just walk in and say, okay, gang, here it is. Do not inhale today when you're supposed to exhale, or we're going to have a problem. We got it, Miss Pat, and they were angels the whole period. But if I hadn't been able to recognize that in myself and then share it with them, we probably would have had a very miserable class that day with me
Yeah.
sending kids to the deaner. So it's that way in your work situation too. Just know what's going on so you can, there's the key. Okay. Know have the awareness of what's going on, because then you can choose to respond rather than just react.
Well, there it is. I think that's one of the huge gifts you give people, because most of us, throughout most of our day, are just reacting to what's going on. This team member isn't pulling their weight. This client is complaining. This, billing situation got screwed up. And we're just trying to juggle all the balls and keep it all running as best we can most of the time. Right. And what I think we often don't know is that some of the things that keep happening in business.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, oh, I keep having team members that are late, don't show up on time, that don't pull their weight, or I keep having inventory challenges and I can't get it handled. Like those places where you keep running into the same stuff, I think is indicative of like, okay. And when we do that, guess what? Smart people go and get help. And the first thing that we're probably going to do is go get some strategic help.
Absolutely.
Right? Which is
that's
great.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the best thing to do.
Right? So there might be a knowledge gap. Sure. Great. Go fill in the knowledge gap. But then there's what happens when you get the knowledge gap filled and you're still wrestling with the same issues.
See, that's the thing. For months, I go to networking meetings out here, and for months, you have a request at the end of the meeting. You say, I want somebody to introduce me, please, to a straight up business coach, a normal business coach that will do all the strategy. And they just didn't. It happened 2 days ago. It was almost by accident. This gentleman was so flat out and honest and just said, hey, I do the strategy planning. I do this. And I said, and then I come in and tell them or help them understand why they're not doing what you tell them to do. And he said, I want nothing to do with that. So we're a perfect match to work together. I now have somebody I can refer to. Is they don't give a rat's behind why you're not doing whatever you're supposed to be doing. But
here's the template.
Yes.
Right. Go run the template, do the strategy, and you'll have the success you want. And that's great when you can just go do the strategy and run the template, right? Here's the tried and true way, go do it. But what happens when you procrastinate around it?
Yeah.
And you hem and haw, or you do it, but then you sabotage the very thing you do. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's the place where this inside out approach to business success comes in, with someone that has all of this history, background, skill around the subconscious mind, around how our programming affects our actions. And I know you've long after the medical clinic, you've been working with entrepreneurs for years and years and years, and you're so practical, right? And this is, I think, one of the reasons we get along well is both of us, we want to see where the rubber meets the road. So it's not like working with a psychotherapist, and psychotherapy is great, but it's not like working with a therapist who knows nothing about business and doesn't know how to apply the insights to activities in the business that are going to generate revenue and grow what you're doing. And to me, this business badassery, the revolution around being a business badass is, I think it's twofold, Pat. I think it's twofold. I think it's one, it's moving from getting the innards lined up so you can go be a badass out in the world, make stuff happen, and feel good about it, right? And of course, the more you feel good about it, the more magnetic you become and the more attractive you become. And then that just creates this positive snowball effect of success in the world.
And it's also along with all of that, it's not just that. I mean, there's so much stuff we have to add to. It's really people giving themselves permission to be that badass. Okay, I can understand the strategy. I'm working with this guy and I'm getting what's going on in the inside. But it's sometimes they don't give themselves permission to go out and be whatever. All right, I'll admit it. I didn't give myself permission to be a goofball for quite a few years. And that's what works with a lot of people, because they know I'm not normal and I'm not going to judge them, right? So it's about, and you help me with that too. You know, I always, whenever I try to be professional, you go, yo, Pat, wait a minute, time out. Forget being professional.
That's not you.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but it's that permission is, Jeffrey. And that permission has to come from the inside, not the outside. Or your intellect, well, I give myself permission. Real horse pucky. Then when now it's about going out and jumping in, and from the inside, giving yourself permission.
And what I love to see most of all, and this is something I see over and over and over again over the years when I've talked to your clients, is the business success, the money, the, growing their reputation in their market, like all of that happens. But I'll tell you, Pat, when I talk to them, like especially after they worked with you for a while, they always say it in this way, kind of like, yeah, that's happened, right? Like, yeah, I've grown my reputation. The business is like so many systems are working better. The operations are running. The money's flowing. Like we're making, way more money than we ever used to. But then they'll stop and they'll say, but you know what? Like life's just better. And what I think they're saying is, I'm more at peace inside. I have more permission to be myself, and I give myself that permission to be myself. And when you can just be yourself, life's so much easier and more enjoyable, right? And as much as I think sometimes people come wanting to be a badass the way I wanted to be a somebody, right? To prove something. By the time they actually step into their own badassery, it's a badassery that comes from the inside.
Absolutely. That's the only place it can really come from, because the outside, it's makeup, it's facade, it's, the lipstick and all of that. Yeah.
I don't know
how to come from the inside.
I don't know that people really get that until they go through it, Because look, we all want to get ahead, and like the idea of being a badass, like, yeah, that's cool and all that. But I just know that the people that you're on earth to work with at some deep, deep level want that kind of dignity and respect for themselves that gives them freedom, peace, a whole lot more fun. And then they start showing up in their community in ways that isn't, I'm trying to do this to get you to like me. I'm doing this because I have this generous spirit welling up that's pouring out of me. And guess what? People are responding.
And guess what? Yeah, it shows up in their pitches. Okay, like I said, I do a lot of networking groups, and I've worked with some people, and sometimes, Pat, I can't give a pitch. I can sit here and I can sell my program to you, you buy it, but I cannot get up in front of that networking group and give a pitch. Except then when they do, they don't even really realize the thing. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
The bottom, it doesn't matter anymore because that's cleared away and they're going for it. And you can sometimes tell as early as maybe 3 or 4 pitches later. Okay, I mean, they are lighting the room up. And I have everything I can do not to stand up and cheer, although I've been known to do that too. But it's but it's that clear,
That's
and
awesome.
they don't even necessarily notice it, but other people do because they'll go up and say, "Wow, that was really good this week." Damn
Yeah.
straight, because you were present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll notice it when it starts hitting their bank account.
Oh yeah.
And then they'll start to go, oh, now I get what Pat's been doing with me the whole time.
Yeah. And
Got it.
that's the one thing that people have to be patient with. It's not a strategy. It's not something that's going to work in 2 weeks. I mean, I suppose it could. It just hasn't. It's not going to happen. You're not going to see that in 2 weeks like
Yep.
you will with a funnel or something like that. But you'll see it. Just hang in it, which is why I do a longer program. But that's beside the point.
Well,
It's
and I think,
giving you
Pat,
time. Yeah.
that's also why people usually come to you when they've tried the strategies alone and they aren't working, right? And they go, oh, there's something deeper that I need. And that, I think, is exactly where you come in. And, I think what you want from this show, and part of what you're doing in this show, is letting people peer inside of that world to see what this business from the inside out thing really means and how it actually helps produce the badassery we hope to have in the world. Is there
I
anything else you want to share just as we
I
maybe wrap
just
this up?
Jeffrey, I just want them to see that business and your personal life are together. We've been told for so long, never. I want them to, I would like to see them to bring them together because it's going to impact them on more than just their bottom line, but guaranteed it will impact their bottom line too. It's
Hmm.
just, I'm just sick and tired of seeing my people, my entrepreneurs struggling with something because they've been misled.
Hmm.
Okay. Bring it together. We can bring it together. It's business from the inside out. Bottom
So
line.
who you are and what you do are married.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Beautiful.
And then it makes
Um,
it easy. So are
yeah.
you done with me are you done with me, coach?
Well, for today, here's what I want to know. What do we want to share with people as we wrap this up? What's the next steps for folks? What can they expect in future episodes? Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, we're starting out with the whole idea of addressing some issues, common issues that entrepreneurs have. Okay, but we're going to address them from the inside out. So one of the things that people come to me all the time about is money. So our next show is going to be entrepreneurs and their money. We have 3 or 4 people that are going to be here in studio that we're going to work with. I did a workshop not too long ago, and these folks had attended the workshop, and they all got fired up when I started talking about money and entrepreneurs. So that's what we're going to lead with. And then
Awesome.
throughout this, we're going to handle topics like that. What are the most pressing issues that you're having as an entrepreneur? But I want to keep it real, okay? I don't want all the shiny packages and that. I want people to come in and let's talk about it and let's get down to the nitty gritty. Get your hands dirty, okay?
Awesome.
I am going to have some guests on that work in the field. I mean, not exactly what I do, but that can add to business from the inside out. Okay, so we'll be having that. Um, and we're just going to see what happens, to be honest with you. Right now, I'm kind of in this place. I see this going on and on, Jeffrey. But
Yep.
you'll laugh at this. But I don't have to have it planned out for the next 2 years. So that's that's an improvement for me. There's
Yeah.
also going to be some other things coming on board as we grow, as we get things behind the scenes, some things you can just download to read about and all of that. That's going to be coming. Please be patient. Is
Yeah.
all I'm asking.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Where can people subscribe, follow, connect? How do they do that?
We will put all of that at the bottom of the screen, and you can see that in a few minutes. But for the most part, go to, you know what? I decided from the very first, we're going to keep this personal. Email me, Pat Honiotes at gmail.com if you have questions or want anything else.
Beautiful.
And
Awesome.
that comes directly to my inbox. Nobody else sees it. So that we're just going to play it that way for now. Let's just keep that. To me that's important that you have that directive and access. If you're really interested in what's going on here, you need to have that access. So that's the way we're going to handle it for now.
I dig it. I love that you're doing this. I want to say this as like my close, and I'll see what you want to say by closing. When I first brought you on my team and did my first event with you, and
Lord,
back in that part of my business, I used to do annual events with 100 some odd people at each one, right? 3-day events, and the last day brought all the team up and acknowledged everybody and the photographers taking photos and da 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 da. And there in the photo is Pat hiding behind me on stage. And that was, a good decade ago. And what I love about you doing this show is I have a blast hanging out with you. You're a hoot. You're so much fun. And, I know that the people that really enjoy you, part of it is just like you have a way of letting it all hang out, going for it fully, that I think a lot of us need maybe a little extra example or permission to do so, right? I know I used to be much more buttoned up before I met you. And here you are, this opportunity to do the show came up and you said, yeah, let's go for it. And it feels, I know typically we think about, starting a show as part of a business strategy to grow your business. And sure, it is. And I also know that this is a really generous part of your spirit, that your willingness to get up, to show up, to invite us into this world and have fun with us doing it. I just know so many people that are wondering, I know something's going on inside that's affecting things in my world and my business. I don't really know what it is. And I just think it's such a generous spirit of you saying, hey, tell you what, let's dive in. I'll bring it behind the scenes. We'll bring people on live in the studio for episodes so you can see yourself and other people and see what they're dealing with and go, oh, here's how that relates to me. Right.
Yes.
And I want to acknowledge you for showing up and doing the work that you invite us all to do, because that move from hiding behind me on stage to leading the show is you being your own business badass. And I know that for me, I don't trust people who don't do their own work.
Oh, I don't either. I won't have a coach that doesn't have a coach. Like I would never work with you if you didn't also have coaches.
Yeah. So, anyway, I love it. I want to acknowledge you for that. I'm so glad you're doing it. This is so much fun. Anything you want to share as we maybe wrap up?
Yes, thank you, Jeffrey. I know this was doing things a little backwards, but that just seems to be par for the course of my life, or things that are upside down, or maybe quotes not normal, maybe a little north of normal, whatever. So thank you for participating in my
Quintillion. You're coming out.
There you go. There you go. That's the way to look at it. That's the way to. So thank you. Thank you for being here. And you know what, guys? Thank you for being here. Please join us next week. We're going to start talking about entrepreneurs and their money. And I will tell you, we got some fired up folks that are going to be here. So keep something in mind. Business Badassery Revolution, right? Because being a badass, being a solo, I'm going to get this. Please, I am sure glad that Trent knows how to cut and piece things together. So here we go.
I don't know that we will on this one.
One more time. business from the inside out. The pathway to being a business badass, because being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of Business Badass Revolution. Remember, as you're walking through your work week, being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. Remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe. And oh, by the way, leave us a 5-star review. See you next time.